another very interesting question, and it is interesting because it is very general also. When does one should know that I should refer to a hypnotherapist? Because we all are suffering through some or the other mental problem, or we know that there is something going on from towards our back end. Like, when should we decide now this is the high time we need to go to a therapist?
So, unfortunately in India, therapy is not considered to be such a, like people shy away from going to therapy because they
Exactly.
think, "Ke, nahi, humko therapist mein thodi jana hai, we are not mad." And
Mm-hmm.
I say to people that it's like when you go to an airport and you have heavy luggage,
Mm-hmm.
when there is a trolley there, why would you want to carry your luggage? There is help, no? Just take your
Exactly.
luggage, put it on the trolley, and make life easy for yourself. So
Exactly.
this is exactly like that. You can go to therapy for a small thing, you can go to therapy for a big thing. I've recently done therapy for somebody who had cancer, somebody who had tumors, somebody who couldn't conceive. So ultimately, illness is here. Illness is not here. It starts here. Once you
Mm-hmm.
sort this out, this automatically goes. Your body has its own wisdom. Your
Exactly.
body has its own wisdom to heal itself.
But
So you,
there is one more thing what people think is that sharing your personal problem with a therapist and later on regretting that what have I shared with them, this was so silly thing or very you know minute thing which we could have settled it out with our family itself, but why have to we have to refer to a therapist? This is what we Indians struggle over here, that we don't want to
yes,
disclose
yes.
our family matters to someone else.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of times an outsider as a therapist, and especially somebody who's an expert, has better perspective because there's no attachment.
Exactly.
You're not attached to anything. You're just looking at it very mechanically. And
Uh-huh.
at such times you get very practical answers, which is very important sometimes, because sometimes when you're having an issue, you're so emotionally invested, in that you're unable to get the right solution, even if the solution is a simple thing and it's right in front of you. And it happens to the best of us. It happens to me too. Even I call my therapist, colleagues when I have issues, because I understand that sometimes you're just in the problem, right in the center. So
Mhm.
you need that external perspective. You need an outside perspective, somebody who's rational, somebody who's balanced. I think it's better to go to a therapist than to go to friends. Because with
Exactly.
friends, they're biased. Especially, I always tell clients who are couples who come to me, please do not talk about your problems. Like, stop talking about your problems to others. If you have to talk to anybody about your problems, talk to the person concerned. You have a problem with your husband, go and talk to your husband and say, listen, we need to talk. Communication, conversation. If
Mhm.
you've seen my reels, you'll know how much I emphasize on communication and conversations.
Actually.
When you start talking about your problems to the world, what you're essentially doing is you're putting it out into the universe. I have a so and so husband, I have a so and so wife, I am not happy. You're multiplying that.
Mhm.
Complaining always multiplies that particular thing that you're complaining about. you know
Actually.
so it's always important to go to a therapist, because a therapist, the intention of a therapist is solutions. Whereas when you go to friends, the intention of a friends, of course, sometimes is solutions, but most times it is, अच्छा उसने ऐसा किया कैसे किया उसने, how dare he do that to you. It becomes like that. It
Mhm.
starts, people start getting too involved, which
So
we
very.
don't want. We don't want more drama. If drama is coming from the opposite side, cross the road, change direction. You do not want drama in your life. So I
Actually, we
think
need
most
to
people don't get
understand.
that.
I think we need to understand this also, that when we share our problem with someone else, actually we are disclosing our privacy. Along with that, we are entertaining the person who is not even interested what is going to happen in our life,
Exactly.
even after they give any
And
solution to us.
and more people talk about it. So your friend will tell her friend, and then her friend will tell her friend. And so everybody is talking about that negative thing, and the vibes are coming to you. The energy is coming to you. So you
Seriously.
don't want that. Whereas as therapists, it's unethical to discuss cases. And honestly, we do so many cases a day, we are bored. We don't want to discuss your case. Like, we are like, when we reach home, we just want to meet our families and talk to our kids and all that. The last thing we want to do is discuss work at home. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? It's never going to be that we will ever ethical therapists. You know,
Actually.
the word ethical, we will never discuss your case purely because we have so many cases, and we have sometimes, though I forget, if I don't open the file, I forget also. You know, like, I remember that XYZ problem tha, but I don't know the details, because you do so many cases at a time that you know, you become very mechanical.
Actually.
And secondly, I also feel that it's very important to express. Most times people don't talk to a family member that, oh, मैं मम्मी को बोलूंगी तो मम्मी पापा को बोलेंगे, फिर पापा गुस्सा हो जाएंगे, so oh, let me not say it.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not express your feelings, if you do not communicate, we come back to communication and conversation, your wounds fester. What you want to say, say stays inside you, and then it festers, and then you start falling sick. So you don't want that. So I think therapists are the easiest and the most effective ways of sorting your issues.
So actually, I after this, I if my audience, if they are getting into this therapy session, they should actually realize that therapist, besides a doctor, he is like a friend, unknown friend. After the session is over, he's unknown to you, but still the suggestions given by him or her will be the most effective and convenient for their better life.
Yes,
So
provided you go to a good ethical therapist.
exactly.
Yes.
So now let us talk about this young people who are getting into their, they have taken their career so dedicatedly. They want to, get famous. They want to have a very good life. In this, they are not able to understand that to achieve a better future, to have a good life ahead, you need to have a good health with a mental peace. So, how will you give a message to these young youth that if you want to achieve your dreams, how to maintain that mental peace and what type of exercises can help them out?
I think the secret is balance. When you're eating food, you're always told to have a balanced diet. No?
Mhm.
You're supposed to have carbs and fats and minerals and vitamins and everything together. So it's the same thing in life. Everything has to be balanced. Nowadays, this generation is all about the money and all about the fame and very less about relationships. I've had a case where, they're like, there's this young couple who's seeing each other for the last 6 years. I mean, I'm thinking since they were 19 or 20, they were seeing each other. Now they're 26, 27. I'm assuming they're going to get married, but no, they are into multiple partners right now. So this concept, though, there's no judgment towards it really. I mean, if it works for you, do it. But people have lost the value of relationships now. It's all about the money and the fame and the glory and materialistic
Mhm.
pursuits.
Actually.
I find that very sad. Honestly, I find that very sad. And half the problems in the world are relationship related. I mean, if you see between countries also, it's all about relationship only.
Exactly.
Everywhere, 90% of your problems in life is
It's
relationships, be it
very true.
politics, be it anywhere. It's all about relationships.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think relationships, the kind of relationships that you would have with your mother or your father sets the tone for what your relationships would be in future with the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, sometimes men don't have a very good equation with their mothers, or they, even if they do have a good equation, they may not feel connected with their mothers, or they may not feel that sense of connection. They feel unloved for whatever reason. Maybe the mother is working too hard, or maybe the mother is just doesn't know how to show love because maybe she didn't know. Maybe her parents, it always follows backwards. So
Mm-hmm.
people like this will start chasing for love
Mm-hmm.
because what they did not get from the mother, now they will want to get from their female partners,
Exactly.
and so they start chasing for that. But because the mother is the first woman that a man has contact with, no, she's the first woman that the man
Yeah.
has any contact with, a mother. So the kind of relationship you have with her is what is the kind of relationship you'll end up having with other women. So if you don't have a good connect with the mother,
Mhm.
even if you find a good partner who's understanding and mature and conscious, etc., you
Mhm.
will sabotage it in a certain way and create a disconnect to feel normal. Because
Right.
subconsciously, normal means what you had with the mother, which is a disconnect. Do you see what I'm
Right.
getting at?
Yes, yes, I
So,
can.
so most of the youth today go in that category. because during this last generation is where the women actually started getting their independence truly, where women started working and where women started, like my mother's generation, the women used to, I mean, they did work, but they were more subdued by the men. But my generation is the generation where where the TVs started. Like when I was 8 or 9, there were TVs in the house and there were phones. So we were exposed to that. So I think somewhere down the line, the women kind of lost that balance. Some of the women lost that balance between work and handling children. They get too excited. Wow, we can work. So somewhere down the line, that balance was, shifted, and
Yeah.
a lot of the children felt neglected.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why this current generation has different problems than the kind of problems we had. So
Right.
I always advise the current generation to learn that balance. What happened in your childhood was not in your control. You're an
Mm-hmm.
adult now,
Mm-hmm.
and there is help all around. During our time, like, a few years, 10, 15 years earlier, therapy was unheard of. Like, who
Actually,
went to therapy? Like, it was like a taboo thing.
right.
Today, properly, there are big celebrities and everybody who kind of talk about therapy and talk about going to therapy. So it's opened up a lot. So today's generation has it more easier than the earlier generation.
Right.
So I always tell them, take the help. Help is all around you. You have to take the help. And now you take charge of your life and you balance your life. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it doesn't mean that you focus only on work or only on your family. Have a balanced life. Travel the world, see different things, grow within. Most important is your inner growth, your inner conversation with your inner self. So I think that is what I would tell the generation today. I mean, when I say today's generation, I don't only mean the young people. I mean people of all ages. Everybody is today's generation.